I mean, basically from college campuses to corporations, Google being the most recent, the past few years have seen a steady increase in efforts to add caste as a standalone protected class or category into non-discrimination policy. The reason I use the word weaponization is for multiple reasons. One is that under the guise of non-discrimination, a discriminatory policy is being advocated for. And the thing is that many institutions are falling for it because of the guise, right? That, oh, we're helping people. You even feel, you even will hear Indians saying, well, what's wrong if we just add an extra layer of protection? Do not be mistaken by this. This is not an extra layer of protection. The laws are comprehensive. The process, as Pravinji mentioned, is comprehensive. If you have a category that applies to only one group on the basis of some protected background, namely national origin, ancestry, or religion, you are creating a discriminatory category. Bottom line. So this whole notion of does it give extra layer? No. The second thing is that it's perpetuating not just perpetuating, it's wanting to institutionalize, these moves are wanting to institutionalize a false and negative stereotype that in fact has racist roots to it. So that's why I oftentimes use this terminology of weaponization of caste. Surveys, and I'm sure we'll get more into the one leading survey on Indian American attitudes by the Carnegie Endowment for Peace, have found that caste identities become less and less relevant with each subsequent generation. I think we can also attest to that anecdotally. But when it comes to discrimination, the 50% or so of respondents in that survey, and there were 1,000 that talked about discrimination, it was largely on national origin, color, religion, and gender. Caste discrimination was exceedingly rare. So trying to present a problem as if it's prolific or prevalent is another form of weaponizing an issue. I mentioned earlier that we're only 1.5% of the entire population. These types of policies would only divide our community further because people are going to become more self-conscious of talking to one another. Why? Because the way in which the entity Equality Labs has pushed the narrative on caste is highly dangerous and highly divisive. One, they root it immediately into Hinduism. So over time, if you have a policy that entails caste, people are not going to want to come out or be Hindu on paper or even in practice because it carries an extra liability. Equality Labs has demonized our holidays. So it decreases the motivation to share about our holidays or to celebrate our holidays, whether it's in a corporation, and there's a lot of employment resource groups that are beginning to share our tradition, share our culture through things like Holi or Diwali. That could get diminished, that could get affected. They've also taken practices as benign as attending a temple or being a vegetarian and put them as if they are, or presented them as if they are code for caste discrimination. So all of these things are so integral to how we might have conversations with one another as people of Indian origin or as Hindus that have nothing to do with caste. However, when you institute a policy where the person who's going to be administering it has no idea except for the negative stereotype of there's a pyramid and all Indian people divide themselves into 4 groups, and then the top discriminates against the bottom and so on and so forth, you can see the type of impact it can have on just regular interactions. Over time, if Indians and Hindus are seen as carrying an additional liability that the average administrator can't understand, the motivation to even hire or admit Indians or Hindus can get impacted. The other place that we've seen this, so there's the discriminatory intent, application, as well as on its face aspect of caste as a policy that we're seeing at CSU. The other parallel case that's been occurring is the one against, also in California. California is keeping us busy, thank you. That is a case against Cisco Systems by the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing. And there, the department has sued Cisco Systems, sued them in 2020 for allegedly failing to act on allegations of caste-based discrimination. And there, the state of California has claimed in its complaint that the caste system is a, quote, strict Hindu social and religious hierarchy in which discrimination is legally mandated. And therefore, they're presenting caste system and caste discrimination as being integral parts of Hindu teachings and practice. Now, this is obviously in contradiction to Hindu teachings and practice, but it's also, from a legal perspective, a gross overreach into an area that the US Constitution prohibits the state from entering, and that is defining religious doctrine. And that's why HAF has filed a motion to intervene in our efforts to protect Hindu religious freedom for Hindus in California. That the US Constitution's First Amendment guarantees us the right to freely exercise our religion, which includes interpreting our own religion without government interference. And here you have a state agency trying to define what Hinduism is, and that too inaccurately. The second thing that the DFH has also done is that they haven't provided a workable definition of caste. So what they've said caste is, they've said it's race, color, religion, and national origin. So they've thrown everything at it. This is what we would call not fair, right? So it's a denial of due process. I said earlier that due process is a highly complex legal concept, but bottom line is something overarchingly fair? And here, the average administrator, if you can't define a concept, how are they going to police it? They're just going to make presumptions or develop implicit biases against a particular group. And so that's also another basis on which we filed a motion to intervene in that case. That case is still winding its way through the California courts, and potentially it could set a very dangerous precedent had we not intervened. We're still waiting to have the court and the judge consider our arguments, but justice is sometimes very slow. But I think it's really important that whatever chance we have to pursue a legal avenue, we have to take it. The other couple places that we've seen caste being inserted is Santa Clara County, where the county was considering adding caste as a protected category. And there, the community came together, organizations like HSS and other groups came together and really sent a strong message to the county Human Rights Commission that this was a bad idea. We also had the opportunity to present the legal ramifications of this, and we were successful in pushing back against it. Last year also, there was an assembly member in the state of California that was considering adding caste to state law. There also, we provided a legal memorandum and had extensive meetings with not just the office that was considering adding legislation that would have had caste as a protected category, but also talking to other offices to educate them about the legal ramifications of this. End of the day, it's going to divide an already micro-minority community. And what a lot of these caste activists don't recognize is that they're inflicting a self-wound, because in the United States, there's no presumed perpetrator or victim. I talked about that earlier. So technically speaking, if caste does become institutionalized, if someone at your corporation is, say, posting very anti-Brahminical comments like Brahmins are this way or Savarnas are this way, and suppose they're superior, like in terms of the managing structure, and you're no longer able to focus, arguably you would have a claim, right? It's not this idea of quote unquote only low caste or quote unquote high caste, that one group is always the perpetrator and one is the victim. Anyone would be able to file. So the fact of the matter is that especially given some of the really divisive rhetoric that is creating hostility in corporate environments, could come under the radar as a result.